everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. Great stuff coming up with Game 7 Baseball. The turf is almost finished out in Warrenton. I'm hoping to get out there and check that out with the fellas, Dave and Dave. We got some great stuff coming up. We're going to be out at these tournaments. List is coming up. I'm going to release that next week. I've been saying that for a while. We'll release our Game 7 schedule next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be live streaming. We got trivia, baseball cards. We got some new stuff coming up. We're going to be out on Saturdays talking to the kids. Going to have a big time. Highlights as well. Check it out. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything with Game7Baseball.com. Get your team registered. Get into these great events. We'll see you out at the baseball park. Today on the show, I'm joined by a gentleman I just recently met and am pleased to introduce here on the show for the first time, Mr. Andy Urban from Prep Baseball Report. How you doing, Andy?
Doing well. Thank you so much for having me on today. It's an honor.
We appreciate it, man. That was a huge event you guys had at Mac N Seitz.
So this area back here is basically production. They do a lot of the artwork back here. They do the production. So any of that stuff that comes in off of, let's say, our fanware stores, stuff that comes in off the team stores, a lot of the coaches wear, a lot of the last minute, hey, we got to have it in the next 10 minutes stuff. That's all comes back here. This area is where all the day-to-day stuff that comes in really goes through. The retail store is its own little entity. This is where the real work is done.
It's our premier event of the year. It's year in and year out. It's our most talented event. And this year, I think if you ask any of the schools that are scouting it, any of the players, it was obviously our most talented event ever, top to bottom, through and through. There's going to be the vast majority of players at that event are going to play high-level college baseball. So at times you just had to stop and kind of look around and see, you know, there's some guy running a 3.8 30-yard dash and another guy hitting a 95 exit velo and another guy zipping it across the infield in the upper 80s, and that's just all at one time. So it was a pretty fun event just to be a part of and watch. The players delivered in a big way.
We got a chance for the first time on our side to look at and see some of these players from the Kansas. I'm familiar with some of these high schools. I lived in Wichita for about 6 years, so I have some familiarity with some of the schools, not all of them, but we did interview some kids from down in that Andover, Derby area down there around Wichita and Takari, I believe it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Takari Brown, we talked to him. It was a lot of fun. He's down there in Wichita. So it was really enjoyable. And I want to start with these 2026 kids. Talk a little bit about this class. Let the folks know what's going on over there. Yeah,
so in Missouri's really the talent level in Missouri continues to tick up and up and up. The 26s fit right into that as another really strong class in Missouri. You're going to see, you know, frontline draft prospects at some point when these guys develop at the end of the day. It's really becoming the standard for that state. In Kansas, a smaller state, maybe at times less baseball rich or in tradition. But this 26 class, I would love to argue with anybody that this may be the deepest, most talented class that Kansas has seen, at least since I've been paying attention. You know, there was a class with Joey Wentz, Riley Pint, a couple first rounders. You know, I don't know at the end of the day if we'll have 2 first rounders in this class, but depth wise, you know, 15, 20 players deep. You're talking about guys with some really special tools, and I just don't think the Sunflower State has ever seen that before.
That's awesome. And, you know, we got a chance to talk to a couple of these kids, we got a chance to talk to them. right at the top here, we did get a chance. We're going to have some interviews of these kids coming up. We're going to be putting them out here real soon. But Milo Burton right at the top there. Big, tall, lanky kid, seems very projectable.
Yeah, so Milo's a guy, along with his brother Benji, who unfortunately had the flu, wasn't able to make it that day. But those two, starting as freshmen, we got to get some looks at those guys, and they've always been projectable. But kudos to them, projectability doesn't always equal success. These guys have worked their tails off, and they've really started to turn this projection into right now numbers with even more to dream on. Milo, I think even last year, the year before, you look at him more as an arm with big velo and body projects. But man, the kid's taking care of his business with the bat and defensively too. If you go looking through these numbers, he's a legit two-way prospect that come future games time, I think is going to be fielding phone call after phone call. I'm not sure that there's a Power 5 in the country that won't have some interest in what that young man is able to do on the baseball field. Hasn't been a guy that's been famous since he was 12. He's really kind of came into his own. You know, some of these guys are known and just are freaks the whole time. He's really a story of hard work and dedication and sticking to it. And you just watch the progression over the years, and he shows no signs of slowing down. So that's a guy. If you want to watch some high school baseball this year, head over to Olathe East and watch Milo play a little bit. It's fun stuff.
That Olathe East team is loaded, isn't it?
Yeah, as young prospects. Carson May we'll see next weekend, one of the best right-handed bats. Benji, Milo's brother, you could go on that team. They're going to have a chance to make a lot of noise this year, especially with some of the younger guys on their roster who got a chance to develop last year as freshmen and get some varsity taste. They're going to be dangerous, without a question.
Now, I should have done this to begin with, because I was looking at the area, the area you cover. You don't just cover Kansas, do you, Andy? What areas do you cover?
Yeah, I do a lot of the boots on the ground scouting in Kansas, the Kansas City area, Wichita. It'll be me at games, but I help support Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Colorado. So our team of guys in those states do an incredible job, and I get to be a part of each of those states.
That's awesome. So when do you? I know Kevin Mulder and this. I'm taking some of these things here to ask you because I like to follow this stuff, and as we go through this, I know they put out large and small school rankings. Do you do the same in Kansas?
So each state is built a little different on what makes sense. Missouri, with the population size and how the schools break up, it makes more sense for them to do a shorter big school list, a shorter small school list. In Kansas, we combine them into a longer list. So we'll do a top 20, top 25 just in general. In Kansas, that'll come out after we get done with our events and start to head into the spring season. So it's Kansas high school baseball. We're excited for it this year. The teams are getting 6 more games added to the roster, which is something we've been fighting for in the state for a really long time. Kansas has been underserved as far as the accessibility that the high school coaches have to the players and the number of games players get to play. So for the first time in a really long time, they're going to have more opportunities this year, and we're excited about that.
Do you involve yourself in that? I don't know what the association. I know we have Misha over here, and I'll be. We've had the fortunate opportunity to Misha comes on the show. That we invite them, they come on the show. We ask them questions, they answer them. So they're whether like or dislike certain things.
Sure.
At least they come on and talk to you about it, and they'll answer your questions. So I got a lot of respect for them that way. How is it in Kansas in that respect?
I personally don't have intimate connections to KSHA, which is our governing body. The group I'm tight with and where I get my information and where I feel like I'm connected is the Kansas baseball coaches, high school baseball coach association, where the 4 out of the 5 guys in the governing body, or 5 out of the 5 guys, I've known for 10 plus years. One of them was my high school coach, who I still talk to regularly. And those guys really keep me up to date. They have open conversations with Keisha all the time, and they keep me updated. So I feel extremely fortunate to have to call those guys friends and to be able to stay even more connected with high school baseball through them.
That's awesome. And you really have to, don't you? I mean, to do this job, to scout like that, you got to have those relationships.
There's no way one guy can cover an entire state of high school baseball on his own. It's absolutely impossible. There's just no way. And, one thing that we've done, and Missouri does it, Kansas does it. We send out flyers to high school coaches and we say, hey, we can't do it on our own. Your players better than any of us ever could. You live with them every day. Shoot us some information. And we put together some high school previews with that information. Those will start coming out soon. But kudos to the high school coaches that fill those out. They're not getting paid to do it. There's no glory in it for them. But again, they're putting their players on a pedestal. They're allowing them a platform for visibility. And if they give us the opportunity, we take that and run with it. So it's a really cool thing the high school coaches are willing to do and participate on with us.
I love that stuff because, and the history of what we did, Youth Baseball Midwest, when we started out, we talked about doing football, basketball, and doing some other sports. And we had some ideas, big ideas. You always have big ideas. And then you find out that the big idea is way too big. And, how do you accomplish that? And so one of the things we did is we felt that baseball was really underserved in this capacity. What we're doing right here, you see podcasts and people talking and updates and social media all about football and basketball and even soccer to a great degree. But baseball just always seemed to be left out of the equation. And I always thought, man, it's such a great sport. There's so many people that care about it and whatnot, that when we started doing this, people just like, man, where's this been? And we appreciate you doing this. And yeah, let's talk baseball. And coaches have been very receptive because they have never had this kind of platform to talk about their players, talk about baseball, talk about issues, talk about these things. And, maybe at the collegiate level, but honestly, how much do you see there?
Right.
Until you get to MLB and you have the MLB channel, there isn't a lot of discussion about baseball. Has that been your thought process?
Yeah, I think it's been one of the reasons P.B.R. has seen the growth that we have, because there's room for us to grow. When I was, I'll date myself here a little bit. When I was growing up and playing high school baseball, playing JV baseball, there was a section in the local newspaper for the JV player who went 2 for 4 with a home run. You can't find that for varsity baseball. You can't find that for rivalry games anymore, to your point. And people want it. People need it. And there's room for us to fill that void, as you've seen with your end. And then when you bring us both together, when we start doing things like this, it just creates a really cool platform to give these guys who so desperately need it and really deserve it.
Yeah, they do deserve it. And, I think there's always balance to things, how you do what you do. But these kids, they're putting in a lot of hard work, as you've seen. And what you were talking about, Milo, and we're going to talk about some more kids, putting in the work. I love that conversation. And, hey, this isn't an easy thing to excuse me, come here and put up those kind of numbers. People think, oh, he's a superstar. Go watch him in the cages. Go watch him throughout that time. There's a lot of sweat and hard work that goes into that. It doesn't just happen. Now, you might have a freak like Bo Jackson once in a while.
Sure, but most of these kids, and the biggest development in baseball, I believe, is not really on the skill side of things. We've known how to field a ground ball for a while. Hitting, there may be different approaches to it, but the swing hasn't changed a ton in the last 10 years. What's changed the game completely is the weight room and the physical training piece of this thing. I think you noticed walking around, holy cow, is Brett Leeser really 14 years old? Is Parker Clubb really just going to be a sophomore in high school? Like, holy cow, these guys are physical. That's hard work. That's not very few times is that really God-given, especially at this age. That's guys getting in, grinding at it, and they're willing to do hard things. You don't find a whole lot of people that talk about loving to get crushed by a squat bar. But these guys understand that's what takes their game to the next level, and they're dedicated at this age. And it's just really fun to watch them change their bodies and become super impressive athletes. It's one of my favorite parts of the job is to watch these guys grow and develop.
One of the fun interviews we had, Will Howard, he told us it was a lot of chocolate milk.
Will Howard is one of the most physical players in the state. And again, I think he would, now he's a catcher, so he's got, at least half a screw loose anyway. But that guy's not afraid. He's not afraid to go into the weight room and get after it. He's not afraid to block a 90-mile-an-hour baseball. He enjoys it. He works at it. And you talk about a guy that wasn't famous as a young guy and who's now becoming, quickly a household name, and a guy that's got a ton of momentum and helium as he heads into this spring. Everybody's asking me, hey, keep me updated on Will Howard. Let me know how he swings it. Let me know how he's receiving. And it's because he's physically put himself on another level, and skills wise, he's really developing into a guy he's not raw. He's starting to really figure it out. He's starting to be able to play the game. So he's done both. He's developed skills wise and physically into a guy that you have to be aware of if you're a Power 5 school. And what's not to like about the personality and the charisma that comes with it.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's a fact. Let's talk. Let's get back to these 20. I really enjoyed that. I want people to kind of get to know you a little bit there, and what's going on that side. Let's talk about this 2026 class. Who stood out there for you this weekend, Andy?
Absolutely. We already hit on Milo Burton. Impressive growth. Sky's the limit. High follow. Parker Clubb is a guy from another Wichita area guy, as you mentioned, 26 class. Didn't have his best day defensively as a catcher, but holy cow, he put together a really good round of BP. The physical testing that we were doing, he showed well in. That guy's going to be really good. A Louisville commit right now. I see why. It makes sense. And they took a chance on him. Even almost a year and a half ago now, they saw things they liked in there, and I think they're going to get rewarded at the end of the day for taking a chance on a young guy because he just keeps getting better. Other 26s at the event, Cale Fawcett on the Kansas end, big physical guy. He's gotten his body better. He's become a cleaner mover. And he's a guy that's not only going to impress in a showcase setting with numbers, but I've seen Cale really compete, especially on the mound. That guy's a gamer. Ben Graves on the Kansas end, baseball bloodlines, high IQ, started every game as a freshman for a Free State team who went to the state championship game. Just really, really impressive. And always a high skills guy, physically. He ran better than he ever has. He threw better than he ever has. He swung it better than he ever has at the event. That was awesome. A name Kevin was really familiar with that I got to know for the first time, Kendall Hagedorn. Holy cow. Smith Cotton guy, jumped off the page. Everything that guy did had you kind of double taking and looking around like, is anybody else seeing this? As a catcher, as a hitter, with the physical end of things, that's a name that was new to me that really kind of blew me away on the Missouri side of the 26s. I could keep going forever. You got Rocco Marriott, who's a two-way star on the football field and the baseball field. Physically unbelievable, just keeps getting better. Had a really good day. Roy Roseman, another high skill guy. Roy's a guy that played as a freshman on a talented Olathe West team. Handled his business, smart, high IQ player, understood his at bats. And then Roy comes to this event and shows the strength he's put on, and the numbers start to really pop. That's a guy to be excited about, and to really, for us to follow this spring, he's poised to have a big time spring. I could go on and on. Cameron Taylor was up to 92 on the mound. Just incredible stuff.
You sound like Kevin. That's what he goes, I can go for days.
I can go forever.
Yeah, and that's cool. And we're going to keep these things going. But I want to ask you right here, here you have these 26s, and I'm sitting there and, I'm commenting. My wife was there working with me this weekend because we let Drew and Lauren have the weekend off. But she was there with it, and I kept commenting. I'm saying, look at these kids. What are they feeding these kids around here? I mean, everybody, there was so many kids that were my size or taller. I'm 6'1". I'm not a small guy. I'm not a huge guy. But my goodness, I was just like, wow, I feel like I'm amongst the trees. And it just was like that. The thing that is interesting to me, and I'd like your take on this. When you see these 2026s, is this a product of where we're at with the clubs, these kids getting into the weight room earlier?
Do you mean academies?
Yeah, academies.
I think it's on both ends. I think high school baseball coaches understand more than ever that you can't just have a kid in your class, in your weights class with the football guys and the soccer guys and blend it all in. I think high school coaches are really knowledgeable and understand, like, baseball training has to happen not only in a school weight room setting, but the guys are having to train on their own, and high school coaches are aware and accommodating and allowing these guys to do it. I think the academies understand the same thing and are providing, a lot of them provide lifting and instruction, or if not, are connecting these guys with places that do an incredible job of it. The secret's out. If you're really big, strong, and physical, you're going to have more success. It's never going to take away. But I'll keep going back to, it's the player has to make the choice to do it. It's not an easy thing. You have to be willing to do hard things in the weight room to get the results. And the guys that are walking around you're raising your eyebrows thinking, holy cow, man, that's just a bunch of hard work. Now, some of it's genetic. Some guys have an easier time than others, but
Agreed.
But you have to do the work. And I think they're getting support from everywhere. I think parents are understanding it. I think their high school coaches are understanding. I think their academies are understanding. And the recovery processes are better known and how to get after it. But that's where you see, we had 5 guys that were legitimately 90, and then 5 more that were 88, 89 in a high school showcase. We've never seen that before. You have to be strong to throw those velos. That's not just, hey, my arm goes fast. So that's been a huge advancement.
The impressive thing, Brett Lizert, he's your number 1 2027 kid. I don't know these things, but I watched him throw. I got some video of him throwing, and he topped at 89.6, I think it was, if I remember correctly. And he was sitting in that high 80 range, mid to high 80 range. And so we walked back over. I said, can we talk to you? You want to come over? And he said, sure. We walk over. And that's when I asked him, I said, how old are you, young man? He says, 14. Mm-hmm. He's 14 and he's pumping. He hit 89.6. that to me was like, wow. I mean, 14. I've seen some kids in, low to mid 80s at 14, but 89.6 at 14. That's really impressive, Andy.
So not only is the velo impressive there with Brett, but I'm sure as you saw, he commands the fastball.
Yes.
Things were not thrown all over the indoor. They were strikes, and then he commands one of the better sliders in the state. He knows how to spin the slider. He lands it for strikes. That to me, the velo is impressive, but the polish that he shows as a pitcher and not a just really strong athletic thrower. Brett pitches at 14 years old. There's not many guys that really pitch at 14 years old. Right. And he does both.
Wow. That's something else. He was an impressive young man. He really was. And then sat down with me and we had a conversation and he was able to do that. The maturity of that young man was impressive to me in how he handled himself in that whole setting. He didn't seem overwhelmed by it. Of course, most kids at 14 sit down next to me and a camera in their face. They get a little nervous. That's okay. It's pretty normal. And but he was able to still talk, have a conversation, and overcome that nervousness, which I think shows a lot of maturity at 14 years old.
And let's not overlook the fact that coming to an event and being judged among your peers and scouted and looked at brings its own nerves in itself, much less an interview. And so these young guys that have great days in events like this, it shows poise. It shows feel for what they're doing because it's not easy, especially on the younger end when you're there with guys that are 2, 3, 4 years older than you, doing the same things, getting evaluated in the same way. There is some pressure at an event like that, and he handled it with flying colors, as did quite a few of those young guys. So that's something that can't be taken for granted.
Yeah. Talk about some of the other 2027s you got. I know it's always a little early with the 2027s, but you're starting to see more of them at these events. Who else is on that radar?
Yeah, a Rockhurst High School guy, lives just on the Missouri side, Warren Robertson. He's an impressive 6'2", 180-pound outfielder. Really swings the bat well. He's got a big arm from the outfield. I think he was up to 88 from the outfield. It's really projectable. He's shown the ability in game to hit, and he just showed the physical growth at the event again. So he's a guy in the 27 class who's putting up numbers that a 27 shouldn't be putting up, and doing it with a maturity that you just don't see a whole lot. And then you have some really fun projection guys. Gannon Eads is a Olathe Northwest guy, sub 2 pop times. He's a guy that's got some arm strength, was over 80 on the mound, was 83 across the diamond, 6'1" frame, 150 pounds. He's going to be a guy to really follow. Kind of going down my 27 list. Those are the guys. Those are a couple guys that stand out. Wyatt Fulfer from the Wichita area, strong body, quick bat. He's going to be able to hit a little bit at the end of the day. The 27s are fun to dream on. You could get me going. Michael Blunt, Bishop Miege kid on the Kansas side, 6'3", 185 as a freshman, 80 up to 81 on the mound. He's going to throw really hard. And it's fun to get a lot of first looks, second looks at these young guys. And you just kind of store it away in the memory banks and know, hey, this guy's got a chance to be really special here in a year or two.
And, advice to those guys, as you've been talking, I think if you're watching this and you're one of those young 27s, what you've been talking about, Andy, getting in that weight room, it's not over here. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning.
Yeah, 100%. You take a guy. I'll fast forward 1 year and go to a 26 from the Missouri side, Johnny Carver. Johnny, an Arkansas commit, wasn't a flamethrower last year. He threw strikes. He mixed in a good breaking ball. He competed at the high school level, got outs, and as he gets more and more physical, that velo keeps creeping up, and it takes work. It doesn't happen overnight. But man, Johnny's helped himself this preseason. He's shown, hey, he's put in a ton of work and made that jump. And who knows what that jump's going to look like for him next year. He's shown he knows how to do it, and he knows how to get better. So these other 27s, they're just getting in that realm of understanding this. So yeah, who's going to be the next Johnny Carver? Who's going to be the next Milo Burton? Roy Roseman? Out of these 27s, it's fun. It's fun to sit back and watch.
So let's go to towards the upperclassmen here. The 2025s. You had quite a few of 2025s there. Who stood out for you in that class?
I'm going to audible a little bit on you, and I want to start with a couple of the 24s.
Please.
There's a couple 24s. There's a couple 24s that were at this event who people need to know. Okay. You mentioned the name at the beginning. Takari Brown might be, I would argue, he's the best uncommitted prospect, athletically, skill set in the state. His growth pattern, his ability to continue to get better and learn to be a polished hitter has gone through the roof. He's an uncommitted guy right now. Whoever lands him is getting Christmas early. That is a guy that just keeps getting better, and not only in his physical ability, but his skill set in the game. I couldn't have been more happy with what that guy did at that event and the growth he's shown. The other guy I have to rave on for a second is Austin Marsh. Austin is he's a Northwest Missouri State commit. Wow, what a steal they got. Steal's not fair. What a prospect they got. Ran a 3.73 30-yard dash. For those of you at home that are more familiar with the 60s, that's going to put him at like a 6'6" type 60. Jumped through the roof. I think he had a 37-inch vertical leap. Just up, 96 mile an hour top exit velo. But more impressive, maybe most impressive, is the average exit velo was 92. Oh, it is incredibly hard to put a round together where your average you're going to miss hit a ball, and that's going to pull your average down. He didn't miss hit anything. He lined everything up and showed a super polished round of BP. That's a guy that's gonna shoot up in our 24 rankings in Missouri. Super excited about Austin Marsh and what he was able to do. So sorry for hijacking your 25s, and
you're fine.
Those 24s. Gunnar Lewis had a great day. Parker Bray had a great day. We got to see Jackson Basham for the first time. Every 24 that showed up to this event helped themselves, which is awesome on our end. We love it when uncommitted guys, or even in Austin's case, committed guys come out and show, hey, I've shown growth, and I'm a guy you need to be aware of. And man, those 24s did it. They really awesome. Did. It was awesome to watch.
Maybe we should have started with 24. I love the advocacy. That's what you do. And I think that's part of the whole process here. You're there for the kids. This is what this is about. And I love that, Andy. I love that passion about just hearing you talk about these kids. And we got a chance. We did sit down with Takari Brown there, and unbelievable kid. It was one of the best interviews. He's got his head on straight. He knows exactly who he is and what he wants to accomplish. So whoever gets that young man, they will have a mature kid as well, I think. So it was a really fun interview. And like I said, we're going to have these up. We're going to get these going out and showcase some of these interviews that we had out there at I forget what you guys call that. MoCan, there it is.
MoCan, yep.
MoCan preseason showcase. All-State? Yep. Gotcha. I know some of them I'm just like, I can't remember which ones were which. But we're going to 24s, 25s, last group here. You want to share what you saw there with the 25s?
So the 25s, I'm sure you looking at the roster, it's obvious that they're the greatest portion of the event. It's a really important time for these 25s going into the preseason of their junior year, trying to make a statement about where they're at and get on people's radars. You're going to have to cut me off because there's so many guys that did so well for themselves. And it's unfortunate I won't be able to get to all of them. But guys like, I'll start with Ethan Hampton. Ethan's 6'7", 215. And it's not always easy for guys that are that big to really put it together. And kudos to Ethan. He's gotten so strong and developed his body control. Ethan was over 100 in his exit velo. He was, the equivalent to a 7 flat, maybe just over runner in his 30-yard. He was 87 miles an hour from the outfield. Just the growth he's shown was incredible. He's a name that you have to know in the Kansas 25s. On the Missouri side, small school guy. I'm going to mess up Landon's name, so I apologize, Landon. But Landon Dan User, I think is the last name.
I think you're right.
186-193 showcase pops. This guy can really play defense behind the dish. Small school, lone jack. He's not going to get a ton of D1s following his games around, but he's a name that you have to know and you have to follow because the defensive piece of behind the dish is just through the roof. And he proved it again at this event. You got, on the mound, Colton Roberts from the Wichita area, Rose Hill kid, can really pitch. His velo in the last 6 months just keeps going up. I think if he wasn't 92 at this event, he was just under it. I think you guys might have got an interview in with him as well. Holy cow! To be 92 this time of year in February, you're going to typically see the velo continue to tick up into spring for these guys. The sky's the limit for him. We've already touched on Will Howard and what he was able to do. It's just as I'm going through the names, Max Flowers continues to show polish and athleticism. That's a Blue Valley Southwest outfielder, left-handed hitter, more and more physical. He's going to have a big spring. There's just no way he's not going to with what he showed the other day. Just keep going here. I'm missing I've got my list in front of me. I know I'm missing a ton of arms that threw. I'm going to grab a couple of these 25s on the mound here real quick. Cooper Grace up to 89, pitching at a super high level. Braxton Madrigal is, he's let me get his exact height, 6'7", 218, up to 85 and a half. Alex Sad, how about a Lewisburg kid from Kansas on the Kansas end, going 89 with a wipeout slider in high-end command. Blake Sebastian up to 91 as a 6'6", 225-pound monster. Hayden Terrell, 89 and a half on the Missouri side. Yeah, I could just go and go. I would recommend anybody listening to this just to go over to the event side and pull up the pitching velos. It's almost, Michael Winters coming back from injury, 88. He's 6'5", 210. Holy cow. The pitching was through the roof at Milo Burton, 88. Johnny Carver, left-handed at 86. Brody Crane, 26 from Missouri, Neosho, Missouri, 91.
Jeez.
It just keeps going. Sorry, I got excited there.
I love it, man. That's what this is about. I'm all for it. This is, I know we can't catch everybody in the time frames and stuff, but if you want to, that's the thing. You can go here, check out these things. There'll be videos up and things of that nature, and it's always fun to find out. And this is why, Andy, we wanted to come to that side of the state. And I want to continue these conversations. I want to bring you back, talk about these kids. Let's keep this conversation going as we move forward. And want to get, I'd love to have you on regularly during the season, talk about what's going on in high school baseball. I think there's going to be, and how these kids are doing, who's competing, where's the championship stuff coming to, because there is, the Kansas City side and into Wichita and down through that area, there's going to be some really good baseball.
Absolutely. I got to throw one more plug out there as I'm going through my notes. There's we talk about 26s.
Yeah.
I have to throw the name James Hunt out there. 88.8. He's again another high pitchability guy who took his game to the next level with getting bigger and stronger. Holy cow. Wow. I can't even help myself. Jack Sales, 89.5 as a 2025. It's just, I get excited about the growth. And I get excited about guys who just keep getting better. Man, these guys keep getting better.
Yeah. And that's the goal, right? Getting better. And when we were there, and the facility there, Mac N Seitz, it's a great facility. You can do a lot of things. And talking to the coaches that are around there working with those kids, you got a lot of high school coaches that come out and help you, a lot of instructors in the area that come out and help you. How much does that help or bring to the event? And you can garner information from those guys and what they're seeing.
I can't say enough about the guys at Mac N Seitz. They had a couple guys helping with the event. Nick Crouch, who really manages that facility. You saw how many things we had going on, how connected and everything has to run right. And that event just can't go off without incredible support from those guys and accessibility. And they open their doors to us and they let us take over the facility on a Sunday in the preseason, which is not easy for them to do. They're trying to run a business too. And they welcome us with open arms. And man, I'm super grateful you gave me a chance to say thanks to those guys here publicly, because this event just couldn't be the same any other way.
It's the community out there. This is what we're here for these kids. This is their goals. They're setting themselves in motion for this, and if we can help them achieve those things and bring themselves into that place, hey, why not? That's I'm just an old guy sitting in a chair, and I'm kidding. Well, not really, but that's. But I really enjoyed talking and sharing this information about these young men and the work they put in and what they're striving towards, and getting to know these kids, as you well know. I think that's one of the best things about this is developing those relationships. And as you see these kids grow, that, you've had a little bit of a part of that. I think it's fun, isn't it?
Absolutely. We'll never, ever take credit for what a player's done or where they're going. But gosh, it is fun to feel like, hey, my job is to help showcase and help put eyes and ears on what these guys are doing in the development they're making. We encourage parents to reach out with questions at all times. There's no question too silly or too big or too small. If we can provide them any information, any visibility on their journey forward, that's what we're here for. That's what makes this special. That's why I get so fired up about the guys that continue to grow and get better. Because I love being a mouthpiece for them. Let P.B.R. shout to the world, hey man, Hayes Allen from Wichita keeps getting better. It's a fun job and it's an honor to be able to do for these guys. Let me say thanks to you too, in that you're providing another platform for these guys. You're providing an opportunity for these guys to sit down and talk and to talk about their development and their skills and what they are, which I think adds a whole new piece to what we're doing and for them in a really, really cool way. So thank you guys for showing up and for helping to promote these players.
We appreciate that very much, Andy. We appreciate the invite and the ability for you guys letting us in. Without you there, we can't do that. So I appreciate your time and your consideration for what we do, very much so. And these kids, man, it's gonna be fun. We're looking forward to having you back on as much as you want to come on and talk baseball and chat it up about that. We're going to be talking, we're heading into tryout season. The high school tryouts are around the corner. A lot of these kids going, we get to talk about, who we think is going to be at the top of the heap here when it's all said and done. And I always love that part of it because I'm always wrong.
Aren't we all? We sit here and we rank players, right? And we do it to the best of our ability, and we put blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it's something we take a lot of responsibility in understanding that, hey, this matters. And at the same time, we're going to be wrong constantly. There's going to be players that overachieve or have something inside of them that we can't really measure in an event that allows them to progress farther and faster than we thought they were. And it only makes us happy to go back and highlight those players and say, hey, look at the growth. Look at what this guy's done. Holy cow, he took off. It's another great part of the job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Andy, thanks, man. Appreciate your time today. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me. I'd love to come back and do it again.
Folks, Andy, tell these folks where they can follow you.
Yeah, so we've got Instagram, Twitter accounts for each of the states at P.B.R, followed by the state you're interested in. For you guys, Missouri, Kansas. The website, prepbaseballreport.com, is where you can really dive into these players if you want more data, more info, more articles. So those are your two best sources: social media and the website. Follow us and let us know what you think.
There you go. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Please, if you like what we're doing, we appreciate it. Support by subscribing down below. Hit that dinger right next to it because that's what we do around here. We hit dingers. It's a good thing it's only a 200-foot fence because that's about as far as I can hit it. Anywho, that gets you notifications for upcoming episodes such as this, talking baseball all the time. Please, we do appreciate it. Check us out on social media. You can see it there on the screen. Thank you very much, folks. Have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. And hitters, you got some advice for hitters, Andy?
Yeah, swing hard.
Okay, there you go. It's good advice. We'll see you all next time.